The SiteGrid panel can be used to quickly access a guest if that guest is not checked out, see which sites are available, or register a new guest. The SiteGrid is actually one of 3 ways to register a guest. One can also use the park map panel, or enter them directly in the guest panel. The SiteGrid can be set to display from 30 to 190 days in the park information panel. The more days you have displayed, and the more sites you have in your park, affects the speed at which the panel updates. Another factor is, if you have the network settings set to multiple computers, the grid will update, or reload more frequently. Once all of your sites are defined in the RV Park software, and you access the SiteGrid panel, it will initially show today's date, 5 days before today, and the remainder of the defined days for all sites. The panel date can also be changed to better reflect the dates of the guest being registered. Just click the date to display the calendar, find the date you want, and click that date on the calendar and press the Go to Date button to reload the grid panel. If a site is occupied, or reserved, it will have the guest name in the site day cell and it will be yellow. Returning to the reservation grid panel, pick the Return to Grid button. If a site day cell is blue, you have flagged it in the site definition panel as unavailable. Green site day cells are available for a guest. Clicking on a yellow site day cell will take you to the guest registered. Clicking on a green site day cell will take you to the guest panel to enter the guest information for the site and day selected. You can also left-click on the guest's arrival day and while holding the left mouse button down, drag across to the departure date and then release the left mouse button. This action will enter the arrival and departure date into the guest panel automatically. If their departure date isn't visible, it can always be changed once you are on the guest panel. Enter the guest information and save the guest. You can enter as much information about the guest and their vehicle as you need. It is important you select the correct vehicle type and then the type of stay, daily, weekly, monthly, etc. If you are taking money, you can either enter a deposit and then save the guest or enter a paid-through date and press the Generate Bill option to print a copy of their transaction to your default printer. Note: if you do not want to show the amount paid on the printed bill, be sure to check the Do Not Show Amount Paid on the Bill box. If or when they pay the bill, press the Bill Paid button to register the payment into the billing database table. You will be asked if the payment type is OK. If you want to track the form of payment, you can do so before committing the payment received. Do not press the Checkout button until the guest has actually left the park. Pressing the Checkout button releases the site and then the SiteGrid no longer shows the site in yellow. If you saved the deposit to the billing table, you will need to apply the deposit to the final bill, so the billing table will properly reflect the correct amounts. It is recommended that you add the deposit to the billing records, and then apply the deposit to the final bill. Once the guest has left the park, you can press the Checkout button and release the site. There is one other feature of the grid you may want to use. That is the Site Hold feature. This is where a guest tells you that they may want to stay a few extra days, but aren't completely sure and haven't paid for those days. To flag a few days as in a hold state, select the days at the end of the guest's stay from the grid. When taken to the guest panel, enter the guest name as Hold and press the Save button. Returning to the grid panel, you will see the purple grid cells. When the guest decides to stay those days, just cancel the reservation for hold and change the departure date to the last hold day. This concludes the SiteGrid video.